Well, we've officially reached the turning point in the Child's Play franchise. Whether you love or hate Bride of Chucky, nobody can deny this is when everything changed for Chucky. Hey, what is up everybody? Nick here, and today I want to continue my Child's Play coverage, my Child's Play Revisited series, I guess you could call it, with 1998's Bride of Chucky. Aside from the original Child's Play, and maybe even arguably then, Bride of Chucky is the most popular Child's Play film. It's the most successful, it's the most talked about, it's the most often memed, though Seed of Chucky is up there as well. Everybody knows about this movie. Now, before we get into the movie itself, it's important to understand where the creators were at this time. Don Mancini and David Kirshner did not want to do a prototypical fourth film. They didn't want to do a Child's Play 4. They were totally done with the idea of Andy Barclay after Child's Play 3. And the franchise lay dormant for almost a decade because horror really was dormant at that time, if you remember. And it wasn't until Scream came out that it reinvigorated the genre, and a bunch of franchises were coming back or new franchises were being born because of Scream. And Chucky was another one of those. David Kirshner got the idea of doing a Bride of Chucky from, you guessed it, Bride of Frankenstein. And what they wanted to do with this movie was make it a lot more fun. Switch up the formula. We're not going to have the protagonist be a little kid anymore. We're going to do something different. So the idea for the plot was that Chucky's ex-girlfriend, played by Jennifer Tilly, was going to get his body parts that had been just exploded from Child's Play 3 from an evidence locker, and she was going to bring him back. And then after a fight about not wanting to get married and Chucky being locked up, he eventually kills Tiffany and puts her in a doll. And they end up on a road trip across the country to get the heart of Damballa. And as Don Mancini put it, it was like natural-born killer dolls. And that's Bride of Chucky. Now, I said at the beginning here that Bride of Chucky changed everything for Child's Play, and it truly did, because this movie would foreshadow where the franchise was going to go for decades after. See, I don't know if you guys are like me, but when I was a kid, the first three Child's Play movies didn't scare me. If anything, I thought they might be a little bit eerie because we all had dolls and nobody wanted their doll to try to kill them, but it never freaked me out. And I can tell you from experience with my son, they didn't scare him either. If anything, he likes Chucky. He finds Chucky to be fun. And so I think the impulse that Don Mancini had here was actually the correct one, to stray away from attempting to be scary and just being more fun. The difference, though, is Bride of Chucky really turns up the comedic factor. It really makes Chucky front and center. You get more one-liners in this movie than you probably had up to this point in the Child's Play franchise. Tiffany gets some of her own as well. You get a lot of moments that are just played for jokes. Look no further than I'm made of rubber. Now, I've got to say that I actually really do like the cast in Bride of Chucky. That's not just because you get John Ritter in here. You definitely get John Ritter, and he is an asshole, and he's perfect at it. But Katherine Heigl, a young Katherine Heigl, is the lead in a Child's Play movie. That's pretty cool. I don't want to mispronounce his name, but you get Nick Stabill, who plays Jesse, her boyfriend, and I actually really like the two of them together. They're both young in these roles, and you can tell they hadn't done a ton of acting up to this point, but I actually think they sell the fear, the comedy, the chemistry really, really well. And you get Kathy Najimy in here with just some random cameo that honestly I love every time I see it. Now, I really have to give credit here to the practical effects and the voiceover work. I think the dolls look great. I think they move probably better than they have up to this point. I love Chucky's redesign, and I think Tiffany looks great as well. This is the iconic Tiffany look. This is the Tiffany look that I prefer. We've seen many iterations over the years, but I think this is peak Tiffany. Also, I think Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly are great with their line delivery, their inflections, everything about the voiceover work between both of them I think is great. And they play off of each other super well. I don't think that Bride of Chucky going the more comedic route was actually a problem. And I know that this is what splits the fan base, because you might think, oh, well, if you liked Bride of Chucky's comedy, you probably liked when they quadrupled down on it on Seed of Chucky. No, I actually didn't, but we'll get there later. I don't think you have to be one or the other. I think you can be a Child's Play fan that thinks that Bride of Chucky, while isn't as effective as Child's Play 2 or Child's Play, is still some really great Chucky stuff. It doesn't even really feel like Child's Play anymore, and I think changing the title to Bride of Chucky worked perfectly because it does feel almost entirely separate from those first 3 movies. I think that was the right decision there. I think giving Chucky an equal, and in some ways a superior, was actually awesome. We got to see Chucky tested in different ways here. I think it changes the entire dynamic, and it helps that their chemistry is so magnetic. But I think that Bride of Chucky knew that audiences, like myself, like my child, don't find Chucky to be scary en masse. They find him to be funny. They find him to be fun and entertaining, and they want to see what kind of funny shit he's going to say and how he's going to kill people. So I think Bride of Chucky doubling down on that was honestly perfect. And Ronnie Yu was a great choice for director here. Now, obviously, a lot of other horror fans will think of him from Freddy vs. Jason. And I think Ronnie Yu is an asset in this movie because at times he makes it feel more like an action movie. He makes it feel more fun, bigger. I really like that decision. I also think that sometimes fans feel like they can't like Bride of Chucky as much as some other people do because they didn't want to see where Child's Play went after this. And I can totally understand that, but I don't think that Seed or Cult or whatever the problem child in the Child's Play franchise is to you are really because of Bride of Chucky. If anything, I think that's just hubris on Don Mancini's part. I think he saw Bride of Chucky go over really well, and it did. It got decent enough reviews, but fans seemed to like it. It made the most money at the time, and I think he got a big head, and I think he thought that people wanted to see this done even bigger, even better in his mind, and I think he was wrong. I think you can say, I like Bride of Chucky, and I feel like that is where they should have stopped, though. That was the limit. Don't do anything crazier and zanier than this. This is the perfect balance. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. Don went in a different direction, and while there are still good things to talk about in this franchise after Bride of Chucky definitely felt like the end of an era. And as I said, while I think the impulse with Bride of Chucky in its inception was a good one, and I think that the execution was strong with this movie, I don't, however, think that they should have gone as far as they did because of it. And I think that Bride of Chucky being such a hit for this franchise was a blessing and a curse. And it was definitely a turning point for Child's Play because we would never truly get Chucky like we had him before this ever again. Now, there is one movie after this that actually kind of brought some of that back, and I'm excited to talk about that one. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts on Bride of Chucky are. Were you happy with them leaning more into the zany and over-the-top and comedy aspects of it? Did you like the inclusion of Tiffany? Or is this the movie where you were like, nope, I'm done with Child's Play, and it only got worse from here on out for you? Whatever your thoughts are, I want to hear down below in the comments section, so please make sure to chime in. Please make sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. This is Nick at the Lost River Drive-In, and I'm pulling out.